Hello students, today we will see the anatomy of the tongue. The oral cavity, which is divided into the vestibule and the oral cavity proper. The vestibule is the space which is bounded anteriorly by the lips and the cheeks and posteriorly by the jaw with its teeth and the gums. Now the oral cavity proper, it is bounded anteriorly by the alveolar processes, that is the jaw with the teeth and the gums, behind by the oropharyngeal isthmus. Now this isthmus is bounded above by the soft palate, below by the posterior one-third of the tongue, and on each side by the palatoglossal arch. The roof of the oral cavity is formed by the palate and the floor by the oral diaphragm, diaphragma oris, which is formed by the mylohyoid muscle of both the sides. In the floor lies the tongue, and below the tongue is connected to the floor of the mouth through the frenulum linguae. There is a sublingual papilla at the base of the frenulum where the submandibular duct opens, and on either side are the sublingual folds. You can also see a vein on the inferior aspect. Coming to the tongue, now you should know to describe and demonstrate the morphology, the blood supply, nerve supply, the embryological basis of nerve supply, lymphatic drainage, actions of extrinsic and intrinsic muscles of tongue, as well as the microanatomy of the tongue. Today we will see just the gross anatomy. The introduction: tongue is a solid conical muscular organ. It is covered by mucous membrane and lies partly in oral cavity and partly in the pharynx, that is the oropharynx part of pharynx. Functions: tongue helps in mastication, that is chewing and formation of the bolus. It helps in the first stage of deglutition, and it also helps in speech, production of some vowels and consonants. It is an organ of taste because it has taste buds. It is helpful in moistening of the lips. It acts as a very important clinical mirror because there are many conditions like anemia, jaundice, which can be reflected by just examining the tongue. It is a thermoregulatory organ, especially in dogs. So you must have seen dogs when they are panting, they have their tongue out. So it helps to reduce their body temperature. Tongue prints: just as we have fingerprints, the tongue prints are produced because of the presence of papillae on them, and this is of medical legal importance. Now, tongue is also used for certain gestures and some expressions, which is the least important function of the tongue. The presenting parts: it has a tip, a root or a base. It has a body. Now body has a dorsal surface, inferior surface, and two lateral margins. The relations: the tip is directed forward and it is related to the incisor teeth. So if you keep the tongue in its normal position, you can feel that the tip is touching the incisor teeth. Now the root is related to the oropharynx, and here there is epiglottis, and the tongue is attached to the epiglottis by two folds of mucous membrane, which are one median in the midline and two lateral glossoepiglottic folds. And between these two folds there is a space that is called vallecula. Now the tongue is fixed, or the root of the tongue is fixed to the styloid process and the soft palate above, and below to the mandible. So here this portion, which is fixed portion of the tongue, that is called the this is the fixed to the mandible and behind to the styloid process and above to the soft palate. So here you can see that the tongue is tip of the tongue, it is related to the mandible, whereas the root of the tongue, here it is attached to the epiglottis. This is the epiglottis, as well as it is fixed to the mandible. The inferior surface of the tongue, is devoid of any papillae, and you can see there is a septum in the center that is called the frenulum linguae, this septum, and it ends at a raised sublingual papilla. On either side of it there is opening of the submandibular ducts. Extending laterally from this there are folds called sublingual folds, on which the sublingual ducts, which are many, they open. Then there is a plica fimbriata, a rough fold just by the side of the frenulum, and you can see a profunda linguae or a deep lingual vein deep to the mucosa on the inferior surface. Coming to the dorsum of the tongue, dorsum is rough because of the presence of many papillae. Now this dorsum is divided into oral and pharyngeal parts by a sulcus, which is a V-shaped, divides it into anterior 2/3, which is called as oral part, or the presulcal, in front of the sulcus. Presulcal part, it is convex, it is covered by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium except over the filiform papillae. Now coming to this anterior 2/3 and the distribution of the papillae. Now you will describe the papillae under the following heads: their distribution or the position on the tongue, their number, how many, the shape, their lining epithelium, and whether taste buds are present or not. Now coming to this, same thing will be told in microanatomy of tongue also. So coming to the first, that is valid papillae. Now these valid papillae are in front of the position, is in front of the sulcus terminalis. They are 8 to 12 in number, so there may be 4 on either side or 6 on either side. Now these are having a raised, so their shape is raised, truncated conical in shape in the center, whereas there is a deep trench or a sulcus on either side, and because like a valley, so they are called circumvallate papillae. And on this, this is the shape. Now the lining epithelium, it is covered by stratified squamous non-keratinized epithelium, and by the sides of this trench or the sulcus there are taste buds which are present. At the base of this sulcus there are openings of the serous glands of the tongue. These are called von Ebner's glands. Their secretion help to dissolve the food particles so that the taste sensation can be appreciated. Coming to the next, fungiform papillae. These are red colored small raised papillae which are mushroom like. So they are like this in shape, and they are distributed along the margins of the tongue. They are reddish in color. There are many along the margins, and the lining epithelium is again stratified squamous, but they have taste buds on their, they are on the surface. As against this, they are at the sulcus. Now coming to the next, foliate papillae. These are vertically placed folds of mucous membrane. These are few, and they are along the margins of the tongue. They have taste buds, but these are less in humans. They are more common in the rabbits. The filiform papillae, these are conical pointed, which are and many numerous, and they are distributed all over the dorsum. So the dorsum appears to be rough because of the presence of conical filiform papillae, and they have a stratified squamous keratinized lining. So we say everywhere on the tongue there is non-keratinized except over the filiform, which has keratinized lining epithelium, and this they are devoid of taste buds, and these papillae they make the surface of the tongue rough to hold the bolus of the food. Coming to the pharyngeal or the post-sulcal part, so behind this sulcus, this part, it is not having any papillae, but beneath the mucosa there are many mucus and serous glands, and you can see some raised areas. These are lymphoid follicles which are present beneath the mucosa, and these form the lingual tonsil, and the ducts of these glands they open in the lymphoid follicles. So you can see small openings of the ducts of these glands. Now the posterior most part here, this is showing median and lateral glossoepiglottic folds, and between these there is a trench or there is a space that is called the vallecula. The lateral margins of the tongue here at the junction of its anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3 shows two arches, muscles which are going backwards, which are going to the palate, and these are called the palatoglossal arches. Coming to the structure of the tongue. Now the tongue is mainly made up of muscles of the tongue. Now these muscles are striated muscles and they are arranged in two halves. So these muscles are paired and the two halves are separated by a median fibrous septum. Now in each half of the tongue there are two types of muscles: extrinsic muscles. Extrinsic muscles means they have origin from outside. They are coming from any bone which is present outside the tongue, and they are inserted in the tongue. The action is they alter the position of the tongue, that is to protrude the tongue or retract the tongue. Intrinsic muscles are present within the tongue. They originate in the tongue, they insert in the tongue, they alter the shape of the tongue. So extrinsic muscles of the tongue we will study under the following heads: origin, insertion and action. Now the first muscle is genioglossus. The origin is from the mandible. So this is the genioglossus. This is the mandible, and this is the genioglossus, which is coming from the genial tubercles, superior genial tubercles of the mandible on either side. Now this muscle is having three group of fibers. Now we will start from the lower fibers. In the upper figure you can see the lower fibers are going for insertion to the hyoid bone. The middle fibers are going and joining with the middle constrictor of the pharynx. This is the middle constrictor, and the upper fibers they go towards the tongue and form the main bulk of the tongue. Now these fibers extend right from the tip of the tongue, middle of the tongue, to the root of the tongue. So they form the bulk of the tongue. Now the action of genioglossus is it helps to protrude the tongue. Hence it prevents the backward fall of the tongue. So this is a very important muscle to keep the oral cavity open by preventing the backward fall. Hence it is called the safety muscle. So whenever a patient is unconscious, suddenly he faints, then the first thing that we do is open the mouth and pull the tongue forwards. This is done by genioglossus to prevent backward fall, otherwise the patient will not breathe and he may die. Now the second muscle is hyoglossus. This is a quadrilateral muscle. So this muscle in the upper figure, it is coming, origin is from the body and greater cornu of the hyoid bone, and it is having parallel fibers and extends upwards and is inserted on the side of the tongue. Remember, the insertion of hyoglossus is deep to the styloglossus. So this muscle is the styloglossus. Hence, on its lateral side, it is related to the styloglossus, and on its medial side, the hyoglossus is related to inferior longitudinal, which is a intrinsic muscle of the tongue. The action is, it depresses, because it is attached to the sides, it depresses the sides of the tongue and makes the surface of the tongue convex. Third muscle is chondroglossus, a small muscle which is detached part of hyoglossus coming from the hyoid and inserting on the side of the tongue. The styloglossus coming from the tip of the styloid process, this muscle, and from the stylomandibular ligament inserted on the side of the tongue. Now this muscle pulls the tongue behind, so it retracts the tongue, hence it is called antagonists of the genioglossus. Now the last muscle is palatoglossus. This is a muscle which we have seen in soft palate. It originates from the under surface of the palatine aponeurosis and is inserted on the side of the tongue at the junction of its anterior 2/3 and posterior 1/3. This muscle passes beneath the palatoglossal arch, which is a mucous membrane, fold of mucous membrane, and this arch forms the anterior pillar of the fauces. So these are the 5 muscles. One is genioglossus, second is the hyoglossus, third is chondroglossus, detached part of hyoglossus, fourth is the styloglossus, and fifth is the palatoglossus. Intrinsic muscles of tongue. So these muscles lie within the tongue. There is a superior longitudinal which begins from the median fibrous septum and goes anteriorly and inserts on the margins of the tongue. Then there is inferior longitudinal which begins from the lateral side of the tongue from the posterior aspect, goes anteriorly and is inserted on the median septum on the anterior side. Then there is transversus linguae muscle which begins from the median fibrous septum and goes laterally on either side of the tongue. So this muscle here is the transversus linguae. And verticalis linguae, which is also extending vertically from the tongue, and it is going from the mucous membrane and is inserted below on the mucous membrane. Now the superior longitudinal muscle, when it contracts, it increases the width of the tongue and making the dorsal surface concave. The inferior longitudinal also reduces the increases the width of the tongue, reduces the length and makes the dorsum convex. The transversus linguae, when it contracts, it increases the length of the tongue, and verticalis linguae, when it contracts, it increases the width of the tongue. So these are the actions of these muscles. They alter the shape of the tongue.